Greetings and a hearty welcome, everyone. I hope you're all faring well. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from Voice America Empowerment, shining love light into your hearts and homes to empower, uplift, and inspire you to create a life you love. Our show today, Living Our Best Life with Shelly Wilson, will empower us to consciously create, to be fully aware and awake in our lives, to make healthy choices, to love the life we live. Who wants to look back upon your life with regrets? I wish, I could have, I should have. You can start right now. Life is what you make it. However, this requires making changes, trying new things, and being open to the ebb and flow of life. What we perceive as mistakes are merely growing pains to push us forward. As quoted by Helen Keller, life is either a daring adventure or nothing. And Joseph Campbell, you must be willing to give up the life you planned in order to have the life that is waiting for you. And our empowering guest today will show us just how to live the life that we can consciously create. She will show us how we can truly live and how we can be as happy as we can be. Shelly Wilson is an intuitive medium, author, Reiki master, and inspirational speaker. She's passionate about helping people wake up to their greatness. She supports others as they navigate their own journey into consciousness to experience aliveness. The author of several books, including Journey into Consciousness and Embracing the Magic Within. She's also the creator of Empowerment Oracle cards. Residing in Oklahoma, Shelly has a BS in business with a minor in psychology. So now I welcome Shelly Wilson on our show today, Living Our Best Life. Shelly, welcome to Love Life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jean. I am so grateful to share a conscious conversation with you once again.
Yes, indeed. And Shelly, for our listeners, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What inspired your journey and how did you come into realizing your special gift?
Yes, well, I've always known things. I've always been sensitive to energies, but it wasn't necessarily cultivated while I was growing up. It wasn't until I had several awareness moments that helped me to understand my purpose here. And a lot of it is shining that love light and that reminder to be who I am. And that's what I encourage other people to do as well.
Wonderful. And you do such a fantastic job. And it's always a pleasure to have you on our show. And you have such a calming presence. And Shelley, oftentimes we begin the new year with resolutions. However, old habits die hard, and inspiration and commitment gradually wane. So, do you believe in making resolutions or setting intentions?
Great question. And I, of course, chuckled when you said that because even the word resolution, it feels like we resolve to do this. And, as humans, we're each having our own unique human life experience. So let's be adaptable and flexible and present. And I do love to set intentions, getting clear about what I desire, how I want to feel, even working with affirmations. And as I do that, then I know the energy and my intention for the day. I talk a lot about the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I deem that book a guidebook for living life. And the fourth agreement is always do your best. So our best is going to change depending on how we feel. And when we're feeling healthy and well and balanced and rested, we may do different than when we're feeling a bit unhealthy, unwell, imbalanced, or stressed or exhausted. So, this idea of setting intentions, even a daily intention, what I choose or intend to do for the day, can be very helpful and empowering.
I love that because sometimes when you look at the big picture, oh gosh, my life is so overwhelmed with a lot of doubt and worry and fear. And so when you're inspiring us to really look at each day and what you want to create in each day, right? Taking those small steps to make the changes for that day to make you feel good. And I love what you said about, really, it's like self-care. If we don't feel good, if we don't feel our best, we can't really, well, operate from an optimal point. And it's so important for us to really care and nurture ourselves.
I agree, and we have to give ourselves grace because, as we know, we are energetic beings having a human life experience, and there are so many things that can change day to day, literally around us, things that we have no control of. But we do have control of our perception and our emotions and our responses. And that's why being present and adaptable is really helpful to our wellness and well being as well.
Hmm. It brings me back to the quote that I stated by Joseph Campbell. Sometimes we get so rigid with having plans for our lives. And, I love to be in that ebb and flow where you just consciously create and things just kind of fall in place with the synchronicities, the signs. And it's really made a believer out of me.
I agree. And I think that's where the magic happens too.
Mhm.
If we try to plan everything, we'll probably feel disappointed and maybe frustrated or stressed or whatever. But if we are in that flow of allowance, and we of course can have commitments and things that
Mhm.
really need our attention as well. But I
Yes.
feel like being adaptable and flexible, once again, is very beneficial to us.
Mhm. So going back to our show title, we who doesn't aspire to live their best life. Talk about this for a minute and what does this look like and feel like so that our audience of listeners can really, bring this home for
Yes.
themselves.
Absolutely. Well, I know that sometimes we feel like we have to just continue as we are. If we have a relationship commitment, we have a job commitment, a life commitment, whatever it may be. And sometimes we may fear making changes because of the unknown or uncertainty of what's to come. And this is why we can feel into, are we simply going through the motions of life, or are we truly living our best life? Are we as happy as we could be? And this is a reminder that, happiness is something that starts within. It's not dependent on someone or something that surrounds us. And our best life can, of course, change day to day depending on what our aspirations are, what our needs are, even what our challenges may be. But it is really an approach that we can take, and once again, doing the best we can by being present, by being mindful, and definitely being grateful.
I love that because many are really at the mercy of external forces or the media, or which can invoke some fear. So you're bringing us back to self empowerment, self control, and that we are in charge and we are responsible for creating our best life and to do it every day, taking those small steps.
Absolutely. And really, this is what the Voice America Empowerment Channel is all about, too. And your show, Love Light, this is that reminder of the power lies within us. It's the choices that we make, it's the thoughts that we think, the words that we speak, the
Mm.
actions that we take.
I love that. How can we, and you write a lot about consciousness, journey into consciousness. Talk about consciousness in practical terms and how can we create more consciously?
Yeah, so I like to think of the term conscious or consciousness of being tuned in, aware. As humans, we have the physical senses that assist us. And then when we start working with those heightened senses and allowing that guidance to flow to us from our angels, our guides, God's spirit universe, we always want to use the term that resonates with us personally. But when we walk in awareness in that way, to me, we're really tuned in. And this idea of even creating more consciously, we're creating with intention. And the way that we can do that is, first of all, understand our energy emission. Are we feeling grounded and balanced and centered? Or not. And if we're not, we need to get to that state of feeling grounded and balanced. And then we also want to get clear about what we desire to bring into creation, even how we want to feel. And sometimes it is a relationship, it may be a career change, it may be flowing more in abundance. It may also be we just want to get very clear about feeling healthy and happy and joyful. And once we know what we desire, and we know our energy and our energy feels balanced, then that's the energy that we're infusing then into that creation. As we know, whenever we're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, that diverts our energy. This is where our energy wants to be focused so we can focus intentionally once again and bringing that infusion of gratitude and peace and ease and everything else that is heart spaced.
Mm. Shelley, I love that because I think that caring and nurturing yourself is so important. And if you're all mired in doubt, worry, fear, lack, how can you possibly shift to be a conscious creator?
Right, we're just a creator, and this is where we have more of a role in the creation rather than things just being created.
Mm.
We're clear about it, and we're clear about the energy that's being infused into that creation.
Can you talk a little bit about how we kind of attract? Because if I'm in fear or not feeling good about myself, how does that impact my capacity to attract and to continue to attract on maybe a lower vibration?
Yeah, that's a great question. And of course, we think about heart chakra,
Mm-hmm.
love energy. We think about root chakra that is more denser or heavier or even fear based. And the more that we have the understanding of that vibration, because once again, the thoughts that we think, the words that we speak will influence what we're creating and oftentimes what we attract to us. I like to remind people that whatever emotion that we're feeling in the moment, that's the lens that we experience life through.
Mm.
So if we're once again feeling very fearful or stressed or worried, that is how we will perceive everything that we're experiencing. And it's not good or bad, it's just a denser vibration. That's why we don't want to bypass things or think we only can be that Pollyanna, look through that lens of love. But
Mm-hmm.
it does help us to understand that it's really how we choose to view life and that does help us to live our best life too.
And Shelley, this requires a gentle self-reflection and self-introspection to examine our lives, our beliefs, our values, because perhaps some of those things are just not working anymore. Beliefs are outworn. Perhaps we've learned some things about ourselves that's not the truth of who we are. And so, therefore, we have the power to really examine that honestly, take an honest self reflection and self introspection to be true to ourselves and discern, is this how I want to live my life? Is this where I really want to be?
Exactly. And the reality of it is culture,
Hmm.
conditioning, beliefs all play a role in our experiences. And even I like to give people this example. Typically, the products that we even purchase at the store, it may be because that's what our parents purchased. And once we realize, wait, I've got a choice in this. I can decide what I bring into my home. We're looking at that literally, but we're definitely looking at that symbolically and metaphorically. We get to decide what our beliefs are, what we resonate with, and that really has to do too with where we are now. The more that we're tuned in and when we walk in awareness, we're able to see things once again through that different lens.
Beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about blocks. What inhibits people from living their best life? And again, comfort in old habits. Sometimes you feel like, gosh, it's too much to do, too much to change. I have to release and let go. And sometimes change can be risky because perhaps you may realize that I don't really fit in this job, or maybe this relationship is outworn. But we have a tendency to kind of stay in the comfort zone. So can you talk more about what inhibits and what blocks us from living our best life before we take a break?
Absolutely. Usually it's fear of what other people will think or
Mm,
fear of the unknown. And you open the door for the perfect segue when you said the comfort zone, because what if we were to reframe that and instead what I know zone. Most people, we just know what we know, and people are afraid to step out of that zone. And once we allow ourselves to experience something else, then we know more, we learn more. So perhaps instead of saying our comfort zone, we reframe that once again to the what I know zone.
what I know. Okay, lovely. It takes a bit of courage, right?
Oh,
uh,
definitely,
and
definitely. And I think we feel that anticipation in our heart, in our solar plexus, even our mind. We start going through all the what ifs.
yeah.
But, sometimes that beautiful, magnificent experience is just on the other side, and we have to allow ourselves to open that door and step through it. And once we do, it's like we realize, why didn't I do this before? So it is getting to that point, but we don't want to be in that state of regret. As you said in the intro, the what ifs, the coulda, would haves, the might have beens. Let's just start following that knowingness now and accept it. And if we don't like it once we do, let's choose again.
And life is filled with endless possibilities. And as you so eloquently speak about and write about, to embrace the magic within.
Yes.
That is so beautiful and a nice takeoff for our commercial break that's we're ready for now. And in our next segment, Shelley is going to share some empowering strategies to help us be present, be mindful, to create our best life, to live our best life. Shelley Wilson, intuitive medium, Reiki master, author, on our show today, creating our living our best life. So stay tuned. We'll return shortly. Welcome back to Love Light Living in the Spirit of Love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our amazing guest, Shelley Wilson, intuitive medium, Reiki master, author on our show today, Living Our Best Life. And thank you, Shelley, so much for, sharing what living our best life looks like and feel like, and how we can really be conscious creators, as you shared with us practical strategies that we can employ on a daily basis to really make the changes that we desire, or even reflect on the kinds of changes that we would like to make in our lives. And creating our best life is our responsibility. And I think we have to realize that no one can do it for us. So, Shelley, just take off with some of the strategies, or how to be present, how to be mindful. Take it away.
Yeah, so one thing I want to touch on is this concept of happiness. And, we understand with that it's an emotional state characterized by feelings of joy, satisfaction, contentment, and fulfillment. And it may have different definitions, but many times people describe it as involving positive emotions and life satisfaction. And when we start thinking about happiness and that idea, it's important to remember, first of all, that happiness does come from within. It's not from external sources. So we cannot expect someone or something outside of us to make us happy. And that can be really difficult because a lot of times people have been conditioned to understand that their happiness stems from someone or something. We also have to know that happiness does not have to be a fleeting sensation, one that doesn't last long. So, if we want to look at happiness, that it's truly an art, it's something that we can choose in each and every moment. If we are dwelling in the past, reflecting, and sometimes trying to relive it, our energy is not in the now. And the now is where we're creating from. Sometimes people, too, want to constantly plan what's next. And that's okay. But if our energy is in the future and not in the present moment, that can also take us away from what we're experiencing now. And truly, happiness is also a decision that you make. You can decide to be happy. And once you accept it, allow it flow to you and flow through you, that's once again creating that ripple. So when we're recognizing that we are the captain of our proverbial ship and that we get to decide our energy, our emotion, what we feel, is so important. And when we look at it in that way, it really does bring the power back to us where we're feeling more empowered with the choices that we make.
I love that. And before you go into some specific strategies for our audience of listeners, living our best life, look at the positive outcomes that Shelley indicated here. Happiness, of course. We're more joyful, we're more peaceful, and the power lies within. And Shelley, many people feel the lack of self love, unworthiness. And what happens if you continue to live out that outworn pattern or belief, and what you attract, feeling unworthy, unlovable?
Yes, I'm just kind of shaking my head because I find it very sad, for lack of a better way of saying it, that people are so bogged down by the stories that have happened or what they've experienced. And to me, this is a reminder once again of our light, our power, a reminder that we can recognize experiences that have happened to us, maybe even experiences that we made choices and then we realize now we could have made a better choice in that moment. But once again, we only know what we know. And this is really learning to recognize that you are beautiful just the way you are, that the life experiences that you are having are opportunities to learn and to grow. And once we take our power back and really recognize a lot of things we experience, as I said, are beyond our control, but we do get to choose how we respond to it. I like to say that everything may not be joyful, but I can at least approach experiences with joy in my heart. And when I'm challenged, Jean, sometimes I say, I've got joy in my heart. I've got joy in my heart. Like I'm
Yes.
affirming that, even though I'm not quite feeling it. And affirmations can be really helpful to us as well. And just repeating, focusing on something. I am loved. I love myself. I am balanced and healthy and well. I am in the flow of abundance. Whatever we desire, we can affirm it and proclaim it and speak it aloud.
I really love that because I was going to ask you about affirmations and because that can really shift our mood, right? Take
Absolutely.
us from that lower feeling to more of a higher feeling. And if you say it out loud, write it
Yes.
down, it becomes part of you, right?
I agree. There's some people that use the term, you got to fake it till you make it. And I don't like how that feels,
Me
honestly,
either.
because I don't like the
Me
idea
either.
of fake and illusion.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like, let's feel it. Let's be
Mm,
where we are. And we can still work with affirmations, but we want to allow that energy to move through us as we affirm it. And sometimes, maybe we just say it and then the next time we say it again with more power in our voice, and we're letting that belief build. Because, we think about how habits, it takes time to change them. Oftentimes we can't just shift overnight. It's a process. And once again, it's giving ourselves grace as we go through those changes.
And thank you for sharing that because I too, when they talk about fake it till you make it, that
You just
doesn't really,
cringe.
it doesn't resonate with me because I said, to me, I look at it as returning to my natural state of being, the core of who I truly am, the core of love that's within me. And that's not faking, right? It's just
No.
calling forth. It's like cutting back the layers of the illusions and the your beliefs that don't align with your highest self and returning to who you truly are. So that's my take on it.
I agree. And, I think if anything, because people talk a lot about the law of attraction
Hmm.
and all of that coming in. And, once again, if we just understand our energy and know the energy or that radio signal that we're emitting, then oftentimes it will help us to understand some of the experiences that we're having. That's not absolute 100% of the time,
Hmm.
because I believe that sometimes we are part of an experience for someone else
Sure.
as well. But once we know that if we are feeling very dense and heavy, we may have experiences being mirrored back to us from others that are feeling that same way.
I love that. And I'd like for you to maybe share a little bit about, you talked about this earlier, the energy of words, the energy of thoughts, the energy of what we choose to listen to, what we take into our consciousness. Because for me, I know sometimes if I veer to listening to something that's fear-based, I just feel it all and I'm like, enough, enough. Let me regroup, uh, get get back to who I truly am. And because really the energy of what we tune into and listen to. Talk about that a bit, the energy of words, thoughts, what we listen
Yes.
to. Hmm.
Yeah, well, you explained it very well just by asking the question too. And this idea, once we know that words are power, and this idea that everything is energy, and once we know, even because there's so many words in our language and there's synonyms, and the words may have a similar meaning, but you can feel the energy between them. Just like when people say they're being very cautious, they're fearful, they're afraid, they say, I'm being cautious. And I automatically encourage them to reframe that once again to say, I'm being conscious. That
Mm.
means I'm aware, I'm tuning in. And so there's so many things that if we just feel into it, and sometimes it may be someone else that we hear them speaking and it helps us then to hear it for ourselves, or someone may point it out to us as well and say, did you really mean that? I know a lot of people will say things and it can even feel yucky, when we hear it. And it's like, is that really what you mean? Do you mean that? And, once we know that it's an energy, and some energies are very light and bright and playful, and others are very dense and heavy and sticky and sometimes a little yucky feeling too. So it is even just knowing for ourselves how a word or how an action or whatever it may be feels to us on an energetic level.
That is really profound. To watch what you pay attention to, because we take it in, and what's really important is, how does this make me feel? That's kind of like my litmus question.
Mhm.
How is this making me feel? And that I have the power of choice to make a change.
Yes, I think about news media, social media, even people gathering in person. If the energy does not feel well and balanced and healthy to you, step away or turn it off or disconnect. But the idea is, you're going to feel it in your body, especially those that are sensitive to energies. You'll probably feel it in your solar plexus, which is your abdominal area, and that gut. It's a gauge for us, our internal GPS. And once we start tuning in more to that, or even our heart chakra, I know for myself, I usually feel energies there that, oh, this feels heavy. Let me shift it. And one way we can shift energy is conscious breathing. We breathe naturally, autonomously, but when we breathe consciously and take intentional breaths and exhale, that helps energy to shift as well. And it helps us to feel more balanced also.
Mm, thank you for sharing that. And I know I'm an empath. I'd like to just share or get your take on an experience that I had. I was ordering some food, and the people behind the counter were arguing.
Mm.
And, but I was hungry and I had a meeting, so I'm like, "Okay, that looks good. Let me go ahead and get that and sit." But I took one bite and I got nauseated, and I had to
Mm.
throw everything away. It's
Yes.
like the energy of the arguing, and Lord knows what was happening behind the counter,
Right.
while the food was being prepared, but I couldn't eat. I mean, one bite, I was just sick, and I've had many experiences like that, so I know I'm an empath. And do you have any strategies for empaths out there
Yes. Well, you're
that help?
probably also a HSP, which
What
is
is
a
that?
highly sensitive person.
Okay.
Highly sensitive. And the thing is, you were feeling the energy in the space, which was affecting that solar plexus, that digestive area. But I have no doubt that that energy was being infused into that food, or even as they were wrapping it up and handing it to you. And that's part of why it literally made you sick on a physical level. And this is why when we are energetic beings and especially sensitive, we've got to do our best to disconnect, unplug, ground our energy, center our energy, clear our chakras, clear our aura, whatever we can do. And this is something I talk a lot about and I can understand firsthand from my own experiences. But I have several resources on the resources page of my website, shellyrwilson.com, a PDF to strengthen chakras, a PDF to clear energy, and there's
Mm,
also an audio file that listeners can access and download if they choose to.
fantastic. That will be so helpful. Um, who doesn't want to be joyful and feel happy, and who having the power to know that, like you said, reclaiming our power, we have the power to consciously create. And I think that speaks volumes. But Shelley, it does take awareness. It's like we can get lost in everyday life experiences, but to me, I have to kind of stay awake and aware. If I'm feeling a certain way, all right, what's happening? Why are you feeling that way? What are you thinking about? I have to sort myself out.
Right, right. And I think too, even when we wake up in the morning and we just do a quick check-in. How am I
Hmm.
feeling today? Do I feel balanced? Do I feel grounded? And if you don't, go ahead and do some centering, some conscious breathing. You may visualize your legs as tree roots, work with some grounding crystals, and hydrate. A lot of people don't realize that when they start feeling their energy being scattered or they feel lightheaded or dizzy, it may be because they need that hydration in their body also.
Okay, so we're really tuning into physical, mental, emotional, spiritual aspects of ourselves. What
Yes,
do I need?
all of
And
the
Shelley,
above.
I love that. And what about like a morning ritual? I know I have my own morning ritual of quiet time before you kind of, some people just kind of wake up, hit the ground running, take off, but I have to have that quiet time to get
Mhm.
centered and be grateful or be more consciously aware, ask for the guidance for this new day. Do you have a morning ritual of sorts or anything that you can share or with our listeners so that they can, not just hit the ground running and just you lose themselves and
Yeah.
everything?
Well,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
think, the most important thing is waking up, feeling gratitude in our heart, and, just taking those moments. Maybe we have a few minutes before we just have to jump out of bed and get busy. But the idea of being present and practicing mindfulness, setting the intention that whatever it is that we're doing throughout the day, that we are present in that moment, present in that task. I know some people, of course, like to scroll social media a bit or have their coffee or whatever it may be. And so each morning, each practice can be individualized to you. And the whole idea, too, of living your best life is taking into consideration what brings me peace, what brings me balance, how do I feel the most alive? And when you can answer those questions and then begin implementing them, there's your answers on how to approach your day.
I love that. And before we go on break, we're talking about perhaps a morning ritual, but for me, it's so important for me to have a ritual before bedtime. What is it that I need to do to maybe reflect on the day, be grateful for, to pay attention to what I'm tuning into before bedtime. And I usually try to make it a habit to listen to something positive or, spend that time for reflection. Uh, we have about a minute before break, but do you have a thought to inspire our listeners about a ritual before you go to bed?
I like the concept of even gratitude for the day and what we've experienced, and then
Hmm.
begin preparing our physical body and our mental aspect to prepare for sleep. So maybe it is soaking in the tub a bit, or reading a book, or just meditating, whatever feels good, but we're getting prepared then to have that rest time to be energized to start again.
I love that. So I think we are ready for another commercial break and stay tuned, listeners, for more on living our best life with our amazing guest, Shelly Wilson, intuitive medium, author, Reiki master. And we'll return shortly, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Love Light, living in the spirit of love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our amazing guest, Shelly Wilson, on our show today, Living Our Best Life. And Shelly is an intuitive medium, Reiki master, and author. And Shelly, thank you for sharing those tips and affirmations and empowerment strategies that can help us move through our day to consciously create. And I think, are there any other things to help us thrive rather than just survive in daily life before you move into your clarity cards to do maybe a reading for us today? And you
Yes.
can share with us about your cards.
Absolutely. So, I want to offer 5 tips to live with more joy and happiness in life that will actually help us to thrive. And tip number 1 is do what you love. And this is where you would take the time to invest energy in the perceived small things, whatever they may be, especially if they make you happy and bring you joy. So, a small time investment has an immeasurable return of investment. Tip number two is know your energy investments. So each one of us must become aware of how we're investing our emotional, mental, financial, and physical energy, and then choose to recognize whether these activities bring us joy, connection, nurturing, rest, and creativity to our lives. And we may also need to become aware of who we invest our energy in, because sometimes that energy investment may not be reciprocated. So we want to invest consciously, have healthy, balanced relationships. Tip number three is explore more. As I've already mentioned, we're an energetic being having a human life experience, so we can explore and discover and experience more of those things that bring us joy. And that's even outside of our what I know zone. So life is meant to be lived, emotions are meant to be felt, and sometimes fear will suppress our living because we avoid taking those perceived risks. And maybe we're fearful of the outcome or what others think of us. And maybe we need to also reframe our perception and not look at them as perceived risk, but as being adventurous explorations. And of course, I'm not talking about risky behavior when I say that. And tip number four is hone in on your happiness. So, this is where you can become aware of your energetic emission. You can create consciously by choosing to invest, once again, more time and energy in what brings you joy and feeds your spirit. And gratitude is a high vibrational energy. It helps us to create more abundance, which does include financial prosperity, health, happiness, and well being. And tip number five is pursue your passions. And this process may entail connecting to our heart and our spirit to recognize what brings us joy so we can determine what we're passionate about if we don't already know. And we may be guided to then foster that creativity in others by encouraging them to pursue their passions as well. And this is why we can choose to pursue what we're passionate about as often as we can. I
These
have
are
a
okay, go ahead.
Yes,
Yes,
I
go
have a
ahead.
quote that I want to
Mhm.
share as well.
Sure,
This
sure.
is from Do Zentamata, and it's just powerful. And what she wrote is, you are every moment you've ever lived. You
Mm,
are every storm you've ever weathered. You
wow.
are every sunrise and sunset you have ever witnessed. You are the result of millions of choices, decisions, actions, and chances. You have become so wise in your time here. Acknowledge and appreciate yourself and your journey and live every new day with intention and love. And with that, I talked earlier about affirmations. So I want to shift that perspective to first person so it becomes an affirmation that we can work with. So I want to read this again as we affirm it. I am every moment I have ever lived. I am every storm I have weathered. I am every sunrise and sunset I have ever witnessed. I am the result of millions of choices, decisions, actions, and chances. I have become so wise in my time here. I acknowledge and appreciate myself and my journey. I will live every new day with intention and love. And as I spoke that, let's just take a big deep breath and breathe in those energies of peace and love and ease and compassion as we exhale anything that no longer serves us in a healthy, positive, and balanced way.
Magnificent. I just love that. And it really speaks volumes for our lives because sometimes we beat up on ourselves because perhaps we look at the choices that we made and, we're stuck. And, I realize now that all of these experiences matter. Our perceived bad times, bad experiences, as well as the good experiences. Everything makes a difference in our lives, and we have to use what our experiences to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And the thing is if we're in that space of coulda, wouldas, what might have beens, what ifs, we can be in that energy and dwell in it as long as we need to, but I feel like it hinders us and actually restricts us from living our best life. Instead, let's bring our energy to the now, recognize that we may have made a choice at the time and we would have made a better choice now since we have more wisdom and life experience. And I think that's part of what life is all about. If we can allow ourselves, as Brene Brown quotes, show up, be seen, answer the call. That's what we're
Mm.
all doing. And if we can realize that it's important to embody who we are and to have this human life experience, it helps us then to live our best life.
And Shelley, that requires, I think, self acceptance and self compassion because sometimes we're not gentle with ourselves. We beat up on ourselves, and be gentle with yourself. Be forgiving of yourself. Show compassion to yourself and accept all of who you are. Embrace all of who you are. And as Shelley, you shared earlier, everything matters. We are a sum of all of our life experiences, and it's what we do with that that really matters.
Absolutely. I think you spoke it beautifully. And just a reminder of your love light, Jean, and how you share that with others.
And for you as well, and all that you do. And Shelley, can you tell us a little bit about your clarity cards and maybe give us a little reading
Yes,
today?
absolutely. So I created empowerment cards. And with these, they're meant to empower you. So the deck that I'm working with right now are called the clarity cards. And the idea when you work with them is you can ask, what do I need to know at this time? You can ask a specific question, and then you can pull one or as many cards as you're guided to pull. Now, I've already shuffled the deck to alleviate the noise of shuffling, but I'm reaching in and I'm pulling three cards here for
Okay,
the listeners and for both of us. And
good.
the first card coming through, and this is what we need to know at this time as we grow forward and live our best life. And the first card is invest in you, practice self care. So it is that reminder to take care of you, to nurture you, and to practice that self love and self care. The second card is practice the pause. So it is that reminder to have those moments for conscious breathing as we observe. It helps us rather than absorb. So have those moments. And then the third card is dream big and follow those dreams. So it is recognizing what you desire, how you want to feel, and put your goals and aspirations out there. Allow yourself to dream big and also practice non attachment to the outcome, to the specifics, especially the time element or how it may come to creation. Instead, put it out there and trust. So, once again, invest in you, practice self care, practice the pause, and dream big and follow those dreams.
Fantastic. Those are fantastic cards to inspire us to create our best life.
Yes.
Best in our life, self care, self nurturing, to take that pause, to take those breaths, and dream big. Fantastic. Shelley, tell us a little bit about your books and maybe what's going on in terms of your services and what you're doing. Bring us up to
Yes.
date. Mhm.
Okay, so I have four books available, and they're available both in paperback and ebook. 28 Days to a New You, Connect to the You Within, Journey into Consciousness, and Embracing the Magic Within. I'm also on social media on Instagram at Intuitive Medium Shelley, as well as Facebook. And there are also pages on Facebook with Embracing the Magic Within and Journey into Consciousness. I teach classes online via Zoom. Got a foundational development class series that will be offered Monday evenings in February. And I also have several Unity churches and centers that I will be visiting and being the guest speaker coming up. So, literally, I'll be in Fayetteville, Arkansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Branson, Missouri. And then in March, I will be in the Kansas City area in Overland Park, Kansas. And I'll actually be working a spirit fair in March at Unity Village. So, all of that information and locations and dates and times can be found on my website on the events page at shellyrwilson.com. I also offer private sessions via Zoom and phone and even person here in Oklahoma. And people can seek clarity with me. They may want to connect to a loved one in spirit. Also, I work as a life coach, so helping people with personal development as well as spiritual development. So, more information can be found. You can click on the schedule appointment button to view available services as well as availability.
Can you talk a little bit about you as a Reiki master, things that can help listeners
Yes,
when they
so
want to
I
connect with you?
practice Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese technique for stress reduction and relaxation that promotes healing. It's a healing modality. And so I teach Reiki classes, also offer Reiki sessions, and I also teach trance healing. So that is working with those spirit doctors and healers as well. It's different than working with Reiki, but we get into that light trance like state for healing for ourselves and for others as well.
Perfect. And earlier in our segment, you mentioned about a PDF that was available in that first segment. Can you share a little bit more about that and how the
Yes.
listeners can access it?
Yes, you can visit the resources page on my website, shellyrwilson.com, and just click. There's several options. There is a PDF to clear energy, one to practice good energetic hygiene, also a PDF to strengthen your chakras, and an audio file that you can listen to that is a chakra clearing balancing exercise.
Mm, wow, one stop does it all. Fantastic. And congratulations on all you do with unity and all that you do to help others and make changes in their lives and to live their best life. There's an old Chinese adage, I think change equals awareness plus action. And as Lao Tzu quoted, the journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath one's feet. Shelley, thank you so much for this empowering show to inspire us and for your strategies and tips that you share to help us be more mindful and present in our lives to create a life we love. Thank you so much, Shelley.
Thank you.
Okay, so we encourage listeners to tune back in, share our show with others, and connect with Shelley to learn more. Bronnie Ware is best known for her writings about the top deathbed regrets she heard during her time as a palliative carer in hospice, described in her book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, that will change your life. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I had let myself be happier. Living our best life is loving and caring for ourselves that enables us to love and care for others in healthy ways. I close with an excerpt on breakthrough. Embrace fresh starts and new beginnings. Break through fear, break through faulty beliefs. Let the old pass away and behold the new. Make peace with the past. Find peace with change and persevere with new understanding and insight. Do not be anxious for nothing. Walk with faith, with renewed strength. Let the beauty and adventure of life naturally unfold. Break through and be free. This is Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from Voice America Empowerment. And until we meet again, remember, an empowered self is a loving self. And keep your love light shining. Much thanks to Shelly Wilson for this empowering show. And thanks to all the listeners for tuning in.